Hi, my name is Ronke Agoro. I'm here to talk to you about cannabis.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Once you know that you can change something, the best option is to embrace it.
Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I am Isabel Masozera. When you first found out you had dyslexia?
Discovery of being dyslexic, honestly, has been in more recent times. The ownership of it happened maybe in the last 10 years.
From the ground we came, from the ground we heal, to the ground we shall return. Did you know that 1 in 5 people in the world suffer from dyslexia? Now, I didn't know this, but thank God for friendships, relationships, and the people that we meet along the way. My dear friend had dinner with me recently as she was on her trip to Rwanda, and she talked to me about living with dyslexia. I could recognize some of these symptoms, both in myself, but also the people that I love. So I felt that this is a conversation that we should be having here today. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I am Isabel Masozera. I'm joined by a woman I love and respect and admire, Dr. Ronke Agoro, who describes herself, listen to this, as a futuristic, dyslexic thinker who is a dynamic health practitioner, passionate about health, and it goes on and it goes on. But every time I read this, I can't help but think about the grace with which you have embraced living with dyslexia, but also the confidence and the pride.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? How do you arrive there?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Isabel. It's been a lifetime journey. It's something that I believe the more I know myself, it's not something I can change.
Wow.
So once you know that you can change something, the best option is to embrace it. And I've embraced it so much now that it's almost like a brand because I have no apologies for it. And I say it with so much confidence because I know that there's so many people out there like me.
Mm-hmm.
And in our culture, people think or want to shy away from it. I'm like, there's nothing to shy away from. It's not a creation by yourself. It's not something you can shake off. It's not like changing your hair or changing your clothes. So why not embrace it? That way, you can hold on to the strength and try and tweak the weaknesses.
Absolutely. And it's so good to have you here. Forgive my manners. How are you loving Rwanda? The last time we met and we had a moment together, you were in Lagos. Yeah. How are you loving the cold weather? I mean, I am freezing, as you can see.
Yes, Rwanda's weather is fantastic. It reminds me of Canada easily. So it's good weather.
It's great weather. Yeah. Sorry, I can't offer you a drink. It's Ramadan. You're fasting, but I'll be sipping on your behalf and you'll be sharing. We're going to have some fun.
Good.
Doctor, I am so curious. I have so many questions and thank you so much for choosing to advocate for dyslexia, because if you hadn't been you and embraced the situation the way you have, I wouldn't even know, like, this is not something I have talked about ever. Yeah. And now I can imagine our MA family is also going to have that moment to look at themselves, and maybe there were things there that, they didn't know what is this. They can be able to place it. So I want to start with symptoms and how and when you first found out you had dyslexia.
Thank you for the question. I found out, wow, the discovery of being dyslexic, honestly, has been in more recent times than not. Like, give or take, the symptoms have been adding up over the years, but I think more than ever before, the ownership of it happened maybe in the last 10 years or thereabouts, because it just didn't click that this was what it was. And of course, we learn every day and gain knowledge and all that good stuff every day. So I grew into the ownership of it.
Wow.
And it's not, I think it's a lifetime journey.
It is.
And you can't know too early in life. Maybe perhaps now someone like myself will identify it in someone else because you've gone through it.
Yes.
But times have changed. 50 years now, 50 years from now, 50 years before now, and 50 years from now. So things, it grew with me.
It grew with you.
For me to actually be able to own it
to
now.
place, and hone. Wow. I wonder, because for a lot of people, where I have read in the information, that the little information I've been able to gather now, it's mostly from the education aspect. When they recognize their child is not able to take exams well, or when they recognize they're a little slower to grasp compared to, I'm trying to use my words carefully here, bear with me, like I always say. But yeah, they're able to see that something is missing here. And there, can you talk to me about your own experience with education? Now you have a PhD, well-read, and you've been able to accomplish what you wanted with your education. But how was that in the beginning?
Oh, it was a struggle looking back now. Thankfully, we can look back so many years and be like, that was what it was.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was in elementary school, say, year primary 5, things. I remember I still have a reference. One of most classes, we used to use positions in classes then. I came 53rd out of 55.
Wow.
And the funny thing was that my parents knew that I was smart. But when it came to classroom work, like mathematics and all that, it just was a bit, whatever. But as I grew older, I improved a bit and all that. But there was a particular exam that we take in Nigeria called JAM. It's kind of like equivalent to United States GRE, SAT and all that. It's an exam that the questions, and then they have answers A, B, C, D, and to choose
which one is correct.
Which one is correct. So that we do at the end of high school, going to university. That particular exam, I took it 6 times.
Oh my God.
Yes. And
1, 2, 3, 6
times. The funny thing was that we had a study group, and I was, helping every other person to pass it. But myself, I just couldn't pass that exam. And I mean, when I say pass, I'm not talking about even close to average. So it took a while.
Because you didn't know that you had dyslexia at that time. What was going through your mind when you would, every time you come back and it's...
So looking back, so it was like, okay, maybe I got the question wrong. Maybe I got I mixed it up and all that. But, there was something in me looking back now that I knew the answer. So when I went on to the US to study, there was a particular seminar that they taught us how to answer questions in that form.
Yes.
So I can write essays or write to answer a question if I'm writing it out. I was good at that. But, the other part of the exam was that multiple choice.
Yes. Where in the trick questions of, is this or is that?
So in college, I was taught how to answer those questions, But even then, I mean, I adjusted and I did well because in American school system, college system especially, you're not just graded on your exams.
Yeah.
You have projects, you have quizzes.
Many other things that contribute.
So I was able to do fairly well. So it wasn't until the last decade or thereabout that I actually realized that, I shouldn't be taking multiple choice. Oh, yes, I remember what it was. It was my PMP certification.
Okay.
I've been doing project management for a while now, but to do the exam, I was like, so what it is that because of the way my brain is wired, when I look at multiple choice questions, I'm arguing with the choices because they have A, B, C, D. I'm thinking I can think of answers all the way to Z.
Oh, yeah. Oh my. Oh, wow. I know exactly what you're talking about. Please continue.
So what it is that because the ABCD is the box.
Yes,
That the exam
yes, and your mind is literally
on the box.
going crazy
So
trying to come up with other
you
options.
just
Yes,
don't, operate optimally in
Yes.
that box because you can see where.
far beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I proudly call myself a very futuristic thinker, because I remember when I was about 14, 15, I used to zone out a lot. I used to enjoy being in the future.
Yes.
And I guess over the, when I went into college, because I had so much to do, I came back a bit more into the present. But my default time is in the future.
Yes, yes.
So, it wasn't until, like I said, you grow to own something and you're like, oh, this is what I am. And I have a very dear cousin who says it all the time. So, okay, you're way ahead of your time. And I didn't understand what she said. This was in the last 5-6 years. Every time we're talking about, thinking about a solution for an health issue, I'm talking about 20, 50 years.
Yeah.
And that's actually was part of the pillars of public health. You have to be able to take care of the present by going into the future. So you can see what's going to happen in the future and actually do a retrospect to correct it
Yes.
before it happens and affects the future. So that suited me so well,
perfectly.
because I wanted to do medicine initially and all that. And I found out that public health was a better fit for me. It's like being in my comfort zone.
Wow.
So it wasn't something that anybody could tell me. And I talk about so many years ago, science wasn't the way it is today.
Absolutely.
People didn't know what it was, and it wasn't really well talked about, or the awareness wasn't this much. So for me, I found out all by myself because I was like, okay, I started identifying the attributes or the characteristics or traits of dyslexia, and I put it all together. And then a very dear cousin of mine was like, you're dyslexic. And I was like, yes, I know. She does assessment for Dr. Adrian Tikulu.
Yes.
She does assessment. She was like, I don't need to assess you. Like,
I know this is what
yeah, and I said, I know.
Yeah.
So I never did the formal assessment, but she identified it, and I was like, yes, I know.
I know. And for a lot of people, it's interesting. Once you know what the symptoms are, it's very easy. So it's clear as day. It's clear as day. But what has the journey been like from the moment of realization, okay, and acceptance? This is my situation, but it's a blessing. It's not a disability, like you said.
Yes.
I can navigate this. And this is what I've actually realized. Most people who suffer from this actually geniuses. They're
yes, they are.
bright, brilliant thinkers. And once they have the right tools, it can be incredible. So how have you navigated that? What are the tools you're using?
So like you said, a lot of geniuses. A case in point is Pierce Branson, the CEO chairperson for Virgin Atlantic. Said it, come out to say it very confidently. I've read a lot about Newton and a good number of the innovative minds of the last century and even this century. They do not fit into the box that the larger population would easily fit into. So for me, tools is internally, you have to know where your limitations are.
Wow.
I know what I'm good at, and I know what I can get better at, and I know something that I know will take too much of my energy. So I just feel like it's not worth my while. So the greatest tool is knowing thyself. Once you do that, you will resist being artificially fitted into something
that is not for you. Yes. So being intentional and picking what's good for you, spaces that are right for you, projects that are right for you.
That will make you thrive, that would allow you to flourish without struggling. It's not a challenge. In terms of something challenging, but not something that would, like for me, I think more in the future lane. So if you're trying to give me mediocre work to do, it actually stops my brain from work. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So even in the last 3-4 years, I realized that I have a problem with that. So when people give me mediocre work, I'm like, it's going to take.
Yeah, it's going to take something from me,
But
so I'd rather
give me
stay away from
something. Yeah, give me something challenging. It lights up my eyes.
Yeah.
And you can see it physically.
I know
Easily.
we've jokes about this, but you've told me that your lifespan for anything is 5 years. I want to talk about that because I can totally relate, even though I'm on the extreme end.
So dyslexic, dyslexia is a spectrum.
Okay.
So what you find in me in traits or characteristics or symptoms, if you want to call it that, it's not the same exact thing
Someone
you
else.
find in someone.
Yeah.
So it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm restless by nature, more mentally than physically.
Yes.
So
But I feel like that one sort of cuts across the board for most dyslexic people.
Yes. So I'm restless by nature mentally. I put a lot of, I'm compassionate as well. I'm passionate about what I do. So I put a lot of energy into something.
Yes.
Once I do that and I'm, putting into it and all that, once it kind of like sort of gets monotonous, I know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I can predict what will happen, give or take, plus or minus, whatever. I'm like, okay, now I'm done. It's like an internal compass just comes about and says that, okay, this is not challenging anymore.
Okay. Yes.
I need something else.
Yeah.
I need to do something challenging. In the course of my professional life, I've done so many things because even though public health is my background and my foundation, I've dabbled into a lot of other industries.
Yes.
Because like I said, public health is like a default for I wanted something else to challenge me. I wanted to go into different things.
You have taught.
Pardon?
You've taught as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I actually teach real estate, IT, auto industry, construction.
And that's not public. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it always connects directly or indirectly into public and one with the other.
Yes. Yes.
So I need something that is perpetually challenging me.
For you.
Once it becomes monotonous, I zone out and go into the future.
Yeah.
I don't put my mind and compassion into it.
This is so important. And I want to take a moment, if you let me, and talk to our AMA family, because the whole point of me bringing these incredible people here on the Green Couch is that we can learn, unlearn, collectively grow.
Yeah.
And if there's healing that needs to be done, we do that as well. Now, dyslexia might be new to you, but this is an opportunity for you to find out. But I also want to talk to people who are like me. A lot of the times, doctor, people come to me and they're like, Isabel, you're doing too many things. You're doing too many things. You're always doing something. Calm down, And like doctor says, it's not a disability. If you're like me, if you're like her, if you have the symptoms in different ways, maybe even more different from what we're talking about today, we pray and hope that you accept with grace, embrace with pride and joy and confidence. When it comes to society, and opening up about living with dyslexia, I've had incredible, amazing women on the couch open up about struggling with mental health issues and things like that. And I've seen an incredible reaction from our MA family, very gracious and embracing and beautiful. But that's not always the case outside of this space. What was it like for you when were you able? Let's even start with, have you told, your immediate family? I know you've advocated publicly, but it can be interesting when it gets into the closer space. How was that for you with your husband, with your, family? How was that for you?
Maybe because I'm in the health space. I've been in the health space for over 25 years now. The confidence from being a public health practitioner, I must say, did help. But more importantly, when even before I became a dyslexia advocate, I'd say my life's journey, pretty much carelessly or just casual talks. I did it again for 6 times or took it 6 times and I still didn't pass and all that. And they're like, oh, wow. And so at work, I facilitate aside from teaching and all that. And when you realize that people that, and even in the family and society, people that are looking at you that, why can't you get something right? I'm like, that's just the way my brain is wired. The funny thing is that the person that is asking you that question is just as good as you are. They actually have the same trait
that you might have. Yeah.
but they
They just don't know.
Yes. So you now pointed at like,
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
So it's easy to point one finger to someone else, the other falls off.
And looking at you.
So I've been able to educate. I've had, in the last 6 months, I've had friends, colleagues, family members say, "Oh, I think I'm dyslexic."
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on, it's not contained.
Mm-hmm.
A classic example was about 2 months ago. Like a close family member passed on, and we had to go for the wakekeeping service of song, I should say.
Yes.
And the address read Water Corporation. And I kid you not, I was on my way there, and then something just said I should look at the invite again or the whatever. And the address actually read Water Corporation.
Mm.
So now because I know, I'm able to appreciate when people say, "Oh, I thought that was it." So the average brain of a dyslexic is so fast.
Yeah.
It's processing so many things, and
at the same time,
if you don't bring a bit of calmness to what you're looking at or what you're reading, you could mistaken one thing for the other, especially if they look very much alike.
Yeah.
So one of the other coping mechanisms for me has been to actually hear and see.
Oh, okay. Visuals. Yes.
Very, very strong.
Yes.
And my audio, if I hear it, I will remember.
You will never forget
if
the
I
sound.
I will never forget.
Yeah. Wow. Let's talk about parenting, because I know that dyslexia is genetic.
Yes, it is.
Your children.
Yes.
At least I know that one of them is living with dyslexia.
Yeah.
How has that been for you as a mom to see?
Well, the two of my children are like
two.
Yes, my first and my third. It's amazing that even though I'm dyslexic, I guess maybe I trusted the external system, like my son when he was in England. I thought, being in a British system, they'll catch on to it real quick. But I knew one thing about him, because when he was younger, he enjoyed playing soccer. And I remember telling his headmasters that he's intelligent and he's pretty much maybe average in school. And I told the headmaster then, I said, look, if my son starts getting A and all that, I'll pull him out of your school. He was taken aback, and he was like, he has never heard of that every parent
wants their child to get an A.
Said, not me.
Okay.
Said, for me, if my child starts getting A's and all that, I know something is wrong. Because he's not there yet.
Yeah.
Like me, like fine wine. I got better as I grew older. Because I grew to own what I was or what my journey would be.
Yeah.
So for him as well, it's the same.
Journey, the same process.
Journey. So I don't expect him to be all A's and all that.
Yes.
No. When I finished my undergrad, if anybody had told me I was going to go back to school to get a PhD, I probably would have bitten the person.
Yeah.
So I went back willingly because I knew it was like my brain opened up and I wanted challenge. It was challenging. I wanted to finish it. I wanted to learn and all that.
Yeah.
So even for him, I tell him that, look, I remember one time we were in Canada, his report came back, and it was like, I looked at it. It was, of course, thinking I was going to yell at him. I looked at it. It was good, average, a little bit below average, and looked at him and I asked him, I was like, did you do your best? He said, yes, Mommy, I really tried. I said, did you learn something? He said, yes. I said, that's all I need.
Yeah.
So parents need to shift their minds from, you have to get A's. It means nothing to me, because it is not a true measurement for intelligence.
It's not.
Academics is just a fraction of a child's life. You'll see, I'm sure you've seen so many videos of kids that have never been to school. They've been able to develop drones. They've been able to solve. So what is that?
Yes.
So the regular school, or the way we know the school system all over the world, is not where they can flourish. So why are you expecting them to?
flourish.
Fortunately for me, with that insight and knowledge with my first, I was able to pick it up with my third. I picked it up a lot quicker. So we had that assessed and all that. So the assessment gives us a report that allows us to tell the school that this is what she is.
Yeah.
It gives her more time for exams, like an hour more and all that, which I didn't have in my time.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 years that she's known, she's actually gotten better, because she's very intelligent outside of school.
Yeah.
So I recently asked her that, okay, one of our teachers was like, oh, she's restless. And I had to see the teacher. I said, I know why she's restless. She's dyslexic. Do you know what that is? So I had to educate the teacher.
Yeah. Do you find that you have to do that a lot?
Oh, yes. So I don't take it for granted that they should know. The awareness is rising year in, year out, but because I know firsthand. So I told him, I said, okay, she's restless. There's a reason for that. I explained it to her. I said, look, if you don't want her to be restless, engage her.
Yes.
Give her tasks to do. When you leave her all by herself, so I asked her, I said, what do you do in class? She said, Mommy, sometimes I zone out. And I know, zone out means she's gone into the future.
Yeah.
She said yes.
Because her environment is, she can't function.
Exactly. It's boring. So she goes into the future where she thinks she can do things.
So many things.
Yeah. So when she told me that, I was like, okay, I can identify with that.
Yeah.
But when she's using her hand, she's present and all that.
Yes.
But when you leave her to, just to listen to you without being, engaging, she just zones out.
It can't work.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. And now she's found out, because she's getting more and more confident. Now she's found out that, okay, when she has some topics that she's not too conversant or comfortable with, she uses YouTube to learn. She uses visual to actually, as a support for what she's taught in school and the books. And then she remembers.
Because the picture is better printed in her mind.
Yeah.
Wow. If you are raising a child that has dyslexia, I hope that you can borrow some wisdom from this. Extend grace when the child comes home with a report card that does not have A+.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of how intelligent the child is. All these education systems, they're created by man. They're created by an individual. Yeah. And it's one person, two people, a group of people. Yeah. They cannot have the ability to comprehend how every single one's brain can operate. I'm so grateful you got to talk to us about this, because growing up, I really struggled. One of those subjects was for me mathematics. It didn't matter. Actually, this gets me emotional because I got a lot of whooping. Yeah. My little behind paid a huge price, but I also was called names, when you're in school and the kids will bully you. And, every time that they were giving report cards, we all knew it was going to be an F9 or F8.
Yes.
And when it came to taking those transitional exams, you're moving from primary school to secondary school, that was never fun, But when we got into more expressive, not boxy kind of things, I would thrive. I was invincible. I was in my element. And it's important to just invest the time to get to understand your child and how they operate. So I'm going to leave that one with you. Doctor, there's so many things I want to talk about. You are not only an advocate for dyslexia, you're also an advocate for herbal medicine, us going back to the earth. And I want to quote something that you said to me. I got so excited before we started even filming. I had to tweet it out. And it says, from the ground we came, from the ground we heal, to the ground we shall return.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about this. The inspiration and all of it.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be a medical doctor, and I chose not to, basically because I picked up a particular textbook called organic chemistry. And I chose not to do medicine because I was just like, It's just going to lock up my brain. And
Okay.
I went into public health. So in the public health space, one of my specialization is community health. One of the intricate things that I've learned over the last so many years I've been a public health practitioner is that health is universal. It's a communal commodity.
Yes.
However, in every space or community in the world,
Mm-hmm.
way before orthodox medicine, communities had a way of treating themselves.
Okay.
Orthodox medicine is new. That's medicine in its real form.
Yes.
But health has always been. Health is bigger than medicine because
Okay.
medicine is a fraction of health.
Of health.
You don't see a doctor unless yes, for checkup to ensure you maintain the health status or the equilibrium of your health at all times. The other time you would see a doctor is if something is wrong.
Yeah.
You suspect
Yes.
something is wrong. So, my mother and my grandmother always, referred to herbs. About 12 years ago, my niece was born in the States and she came home with, I think it was some sort of eczema. And my mom, took my sister-in-law and the baby to a herbalist. And, she put some herbs together and asked the mother to bathe
The baby.
within 3 to 5 days, her skin cleared up. Now, the funny thing was that when she was in America, because she didn't come
Wow.
to Nigeria till she was about 6 months or a little bit less. She had bought very expensive, I can't remember the cream now, very expensive, and it didn't work.
The only time I hear of herbs being put on anything was always on babies to clear up.
Even adults, there's so many
Wow.
stories. I have an aunt who had cancer so many years ago, and she's still very much alive. She had breast cancer. And she refused to do the orthodox medicine like chemotherapy. And
Yes.
And she did herbs only.
For cancer.
Yeah. She's
Wow.
still very much alive. The lumps, according to her, dissolved pretty much. She actually focused on herbs. I don't know the intricate thing of
Details of what she took. Yes.
She said she was doing herbs. I know of a gentleman, I don't know if he's a doctor back in Lagos, who combined African herbs with Asian herbs to cure people or to help them manage diabetes and all that. So I've always advocated for, if you know someone that knows their herbs, go to herbs first. I mean,
Go to herbs before you go to orthodox
yes,
options.
I mean, orthodox is a good gauge.
Yeah.
But if you look at it on the African continent, and I can speak in terms of Nigeria, you will find more people in herbal medicine taking herbs than you find in orthodox medicine. Because, like I said, whether we like it or not, it's relatively new.
Yeah.
You find out that the average Nigerian or African is skeptical about surgeries.
Yes.
Any form of incision or invasive, whatever you want to call it. And it stops them from getting the
help they need. Yeah.
So they go first
to the traditional, the
because
herbal.
it's more accessible to them.
Yes.
And it's not, it's seen more as agreeable because it's consumed like food.
Yes.
In comparison to if you're taking, for example, be it injections, tablets, whatever. I believe that on the continent, it's the embracing of it is not complete.
Yeah.
Even in the West, you find out that quite a number of people have been made to look at herbal medicine before orthodox. And more recently, I was a frontline worker in the health sector during COVID. And I remember a professor, I can't remember her name now, she gave us some herbs to protect us. That's what we took. And I didn't have COVID.
I feel like this was the story for a lot of people in Africa.
Mhm.
And we truly turned to our roots. Growing up, I also went to, in as much as like, oh my God, I'm only used to that being done to children. Growing up, my father is a medical doctor, but my mom was indeed true to the herbal line of, medicine. And it was always interesting seeing this dynamic where my dad is like, oh, the person is sick, we need to give them medicine. And my mom is like, okay, she already told plant this or plant that.
Yes.
And then, after a couple of days, you're actually fine.
Yeah.
And I remember having my children and growing up, there was always this belief that when you have the child and you want the child to have clean skin, they would get the child and there would always be these leaves and the women around you would cook them, bathe the child, good to go. If the child had colic, you know what that is? When they start screaming and crying because their little intestines are starting to process things. There was always something for you to give the child. And it is actually true. And I love that, we've spent off the camera a lot of time talking about what would Africa look like if we were truly to say not orthodox and carve out spaces where we can actually prioritize herbal medicine.
Well, yeah, and I believe a mixture of it would definitely work. One thing that actually has always kept me in that space, my mom told me, the 4-month-old, and it's back then, you start introducing babies to semi-solid and start reducing breastfeeding and all that.
Yeah.
And I was given the formula, SMA Gold or whatever it was called then. I threw it up. And for weeks, all I could feed on was breast milk. And I was getting older and bigger, but, she knew that I wasn't being properly fed because it was like the breast milk wasn't sufficient.
Yeah.
And then she said one day she tried, I think it was pap. And we call it ewedu. It's like
I know ewedu. Yes. It's slimy, it's vegetable. Grated. Yes.
And I think she wanted to
I still can't eat it.
No, really?
I respect it. It's a delicacy.
Yeah, it is. And she tried it.
Yeah.
And I fed well on it.
Yeah.
Only for me to find out so many years later, I'm lactose intolerant.
Wow.
But, we're talking about well over 40 years ago. Nobody even looked at it in that sense.
Yeah.
So now, 40 years later plus and all that, you find some children will never process in the milk form the way, especially from the cows.
Yeah.
They'll take a lot of form, maybe soya milk.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll take that. That's from the ground.
So from the ground we came, from the ground we heal, and to the ground we shall return. My time is fast spent. We have had an amazing time, so much to learn. But before I leave you, I want to touch something interesting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So, V-living, V-lifestyles, what's that? And how does it relate to herbal medicine and us living well?
Okay, so Real Lifestyle is a company here in Rwanda that is actually one of the licensees to actually grow a special plant, I should say, called cannabis, medical cannabis to be specific. As you might know, cannabis is used for so many things, to treat cancer and pain, epilepsy, so many things. And the discovery hasn't even ended.
Yeah.
So there are pharmaceutical grade components of that takes different cannabinoids out of the plant to actually deal with different things.
Yeah.
One of it is, say, for example, you take CBD oil that has a full spectrum of it. It's used for focusing. So for someone like me who's dyslexic, say, for example, you need to focus and all that, it makes your mind crisp. It makes it crisp and sharp.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the mind, the brain is working in so many
It's in
directions.
overdrive.
So it brings in all
slows it down.
So
Yeah.
like a razor,
Yeah.
laser focus, precision, I should say.
Yeah.
So there's so many opportunities in that space that is being discovered.
It's pretty much virgin territory, untapped. Yeah.
Exactly. Even though it's the research on it has been going on for years, but now more than ever before, in line with the new the next frontier of pharmaceutical precision medication in the pharmaceutical industry. CBD and the family of CBD integrates so well into that it brings a new ray of hope for all sorts of ailments across the world that will find cure in cannabinoids.
I feel like we need a separate conversation for this, or should have talked about it at the beginning so we have more time. Yeah. So I will have you back here to explain to us a bit more, but I just want to touch one element of it as we close.
Yes.
You're an African woman.
Yes, I am.
Beautifully dressed in kitenge. Oh, by the way, if you've seen me on the news wearing kitenge, if you've seen me on here wearing kitenge lately, this is the person responsible for that. Mm-hmm. You know, I loved our conversation around, okay, these suits and all of that. We need to embrace what it is to be African, our attires and all of that. And there's a believer over there that is just like me. I hope you do the same, but I am absolutely loving doing that and integrating it into my closet. Yeah. But on top of that, there's the hijab going on. And then cannabis.
Yes.
How have you're talking about this, you're doing this business, how has it been welcomed by the people around you, but also the society, real quick as we close?
Yes, well, it's been interesting. I think the most powerful aspect of communication is the delivery of it. And when people see, I mean, because cannabis has been stigmatized by different governing bodies, United Nations, Office of Narcotics and all that. Unfortunately, it has been deregulated and moved down the narcotics schedule. People, when you're in pain and somebody says that this is natural, like, you know, you can brew cannabis flowers. You can see that it's coming, it's a flower form. It's just like a flower like this. And you put it in tea. You put it yourself, it brews or for a few minutes, and you take it and it relieves your pain. It's coming from the ground. And it's a medical quality and all that. It's a journey as we get familiar with what all the benefits that is going to come to the forefront. People are going to take away the stigma and stigmatization and all that. And you'll find out that off the record, people have been taking it for centuries.
Yeah.
So it's not a new plant.
Yeah.
It's just that for whatever reason, it's actually more helpful than tobacco. Tobacco causes cancer.
Yeah.
Cannabis cures cancer.
Yes. And yet everybody's smoking and that's okay. But this is
like I said before, labeling.
Cannabis
labeling and all that for whatever reason. Yes. Some people's narrative and they have the forefront or the platform to push that message.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, it's based in health.
Yeah.
It aligns with my belief because, like I said, from the earth we came, from the ground we came.
To the ground.
To the ground, I will find cure in there. So it aligns perfectly with my belief. I don't have a problem with it because it's medical grade, so that people that are suffering from so many ailments, from chronic pain to cancer and all that, it's going to be a very fulfilling journey. Imagine helping someone that is suffering from cancer, epilepsy, chronic pain.
Find relief.
I mean, that's a priceless accomplishment. And like I said from my profile, making it better for the next 50 million, so many million people is actually what the core of my profession is.
For V
And I
lifestyle,
hold on
yeah.
to that. I embrace that wholeheartedly all the time. So that's what V lifestyle is going to be doing.
Yeah.
Making sure that we are able to help anybody that will find solace, comfort, and healing.
I love it. I love it. And on that note, we have to how to end. But thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And you know, I love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
And to you that made the time to join us today, we hope you learned something. I know I did. But remember, this space is about sipping. It's about sharing. It's about all of us coming into this space of growth, embracing it, and living our best life. Until next time, take care.